Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, ladies and gentlemen, to the fellas, to the fellas, to the fellas. What's up, what's poppin'? I am right now, I'm on the road, so apologize if anything doesn't look exactly the same. Probably doesn't look too much different on your end, maybe a little bit of the lighting. But what's up? How y'all going? How y'all doing? Yeah, I'm in my my childhood bedroom actually right now. We got this thing all rigged up. Don't worry about it. We got travel lights. Well, not even travel. My brother's lights. We got a laptop here as a second screen that's just making sure the comments are all good. We got a bunch of stuff going on right now. But yeah, I think it's all good. I think we got this all somehow set up. I've got like 30 different wires and 2 or 3 different extension cords to just make this look presentable. And yeah, I wanted to do this because this is a very interesting slate. There's a lot of good things on this slate. I know there's going to be like the question of the day, Devonte Adams or Travis Kelce and things like that. And that is a viable and legitimate question. There's a lot of different ways you can go with this slate. And it is, I mean, not so easy, but relatively easy to get different on this slate. We put up the Closing Thoughts podcast on Patreon this morning. Also, let me know if you're just tuning in right now. Everything sound good? Does all that type of stuff? All good. Let me know if the sound and all that is good. I can adjust if need be, but I'm watching on my phone right now, so I can actually access the comments, so I don't have to. I only got one laptop screen, so yeah, this should be fun. Welcome in if you're brand new. A lot of people are probably just going to see this for the first time. How y'all doing? Hit the like, hit the subscribe, do all those things, you crazy motherfuckers. So yeah, let's get into it. With this next hour, hour and a half, whatever it might be, is going to mainly be is just your questions. Whatever questions that you have, get them in here. We did a Closing Thoughts podcast this morning. It went 40 minutes for just a 2-game slate because there is a lot of game theory on this slate. It really depends on the contest you're playing. It really depends on the risks you want to take. We're full fading some guys. Yeah, full fading a lot of guys on this slate, and we're really focusing on ways to get different. And we talked about that a lot on Patreon if you want to check it out. Sound loud and clear. Sal, looks and sounds good. Let's get the spread. Appreciate it. Yeah, okay. That was my biggest concern was everything just actually working, right? The streaming at my parents' house and everything actually working in terms of the lighting and all that. So thankfully, my brother also creates YouTube content on a sports card channel that he's been doing for months now, not just since it's really popped off. So he has a bunch of lights to actually make this work. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm happy about that. Let's get your questions in here. The other thing I'll call out, we'll talk about it throughout the show as more people get into the show. But the other thing I'll call out is just Jock Market is a sponsor of today's show, and this is a massive day for Jock Market. They have massive prize pools. They're going to be guaranteeing some rake and overlay and things like that. If you're not familiar with what Jock Market is, they're a proud sponsor all season long of this channel. So one, they respect our content. They appreciate the fellows in the community here, meaning that they literally appreciate you guys, and they want you to come over to join their site. And I wouldn't be pitching them and really talking to them as a partner if I didn't think it was a cool product, cool people behind that product. Was emailing some book recommendations with Dave the other night, like actual human beings that you get to talk to and partner up with. It's a ton of fun. It's just daily fantasy sports meets the stock exchange. That's like the catchphrase for it, right? So yeah, you get to play Jock Market. You get to buy shares in players for this slate today, and you can dump them. You can buy and sell live. The market's going to open at 2:30 p.m. East Coast time today. So literally like 30 minutes before the game start. It is going to be absolutely insane in Jock Market is when it's going to be closing up. So get in there. You bid on players like as if it's eBay. So if somebody outbids you, you don't get their shares. There's a certain amount of shares per player, and depending on where their fantasy points finish is where you will basically get your money. Like if you buy a player for $10, say, if they finish first place today in fantasy points in the Jock Market, well, you get $25 per share. So you just made $15 for every share of, let's say, Patrick Mahomes or whoever you want to be using as your example there. So check it out down below. When you download it, it's totally free to download. You type in the promo code SAL20, that is SAL20. They'll give you $20 of credit to play in your account. There's free contests, and then there's the actual money markets, the Jock Market itself. If you want to do me a favor and download that totally free and just check out some free markets, go ahead and do that. Want to use that code SAL20? You got $20 credit to use in any market you want over there. Any questions, just feel free to reach out. Definitely going to be playing Jock Market, as long as it's actually legal in the state that I'm in. I'm now in Pennsylvania. I think that's Super Draft the one that I'm going to be screwed with today in Pennsylvania, sadly. But let's get it. Let's get the parents on the stream, my man John says. My dad just went to the store. We might have to. My dad's at the store. I'm like 95% sure. My mother, she probably will comment at some point, but she just went to a part-time job, which I don't know, might take her an hour or two, so she might not be back in time. My brother's working. The only other person home right now, I'm literally giving away everything, so if somebody wanted to literally come and murk me right now, this would be terrible, but my sister's sleeping, and we got guard dogs, though, so if you try and come here, they'll probably eat you alive. They're vicious. Maybe not. But yeah. If Mama Vetra gets back or my dad gets back, maybe I'll say something Tell them to come up onto the stream for the community. But anyways, now we're a couple minutes into this. I see there's a couple hundred people already in here. Appreciate all you a ton. I know we're going to have a lot of people in here. We're going to continue to be doing content. MMA, I hope you all like that. Continuing to be doing the NBA content. Live streams are going to be starting back up. I travel back home tomorrow, or my home. So Tuesday will be the live stream starting back up for that. Golf, all that type of stuff. So the NFL, even though it's going to be ending in 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, don't worry. We got you covered here. Like, subscribe, do all those things. Let's start to answer your motherfucking questions. Savage Plus says, yo, Sal. Yo, what's up, man? Somebody says, happy Sunday, fellas. My man, James. Yeah, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you too, James. Let's see what we got here. What's your brother's channel? It's just his name, Sal Vetri. I'm Sal Vetri. It's Steven Vetri. It's just his name, Steven Vetri. It's a sports card channel. He does some other stuff on there as well, but mainly doing sports cards. Time to make some money. Yeah, let's do it, Moses. I'm down. We got Hennessy. Chad Henne. Don't forget the Henny. Bring the Henny. Turns off the Henny. Throwing for 300 yards tonight is what my man says. All right, yeah, I mean, we got some news on Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes is going to be having turf toe, which was, I definitely didn't think it was that serious, or I guess I'm not shocked that it's that serious. It would be a big issue if this was a quarterback, but turf toe sucks. There's no around that. Like, depending on, or a wide receiver, if it wasn't a quarterback, right? Like, he's going to have no mobility today. Like, no matter what they shoot him up with, turf toe, it depends on, like, how bad it is, like, the grade of it. But turf toe is atrocious to play with. I haven't had it, but just reading reports, knowing people who have had it. I mean, Devonte Adams missed like 5 to 6 weeks last year with turf toe. He couldn't even come into a game when they needed him, like immediately with adrenaline. When they needed him against the Eagles, he couldn't come in for 6 goal line stands. He couldn't play for 3 or 4 weeks after that. He couldn't even put pressure on his toe in practice for 3 weeks. Now, obviously, for a wide receiver and running backs, you need to cut, you need to push off. A quarterback, he's going to be very much in the pocket. I don't think that we see Patrick Mahomes moving all that much today, which does take a hit. Sal, are you still high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire as you were earlier this week? Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire I like a lot. So to make sure that we presented this the exact same way as usual, I took some screenshots. So I got screenshots right now on my phone of what my exposures are, so I don't have to like scroll over to them. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still my highest on running back. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the majority of my lineups. That is over 50% of my lineups today. So yes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is somebody that I will be having a good amount of exposure to. Kansas City, Tampa, Super Bowl. Hope not. That sounds like a very boring game in my opinion. Sounds like Kansas City now with a turf toe to Patrick Mahomes, but sounds like a game that is a good old mollywhopping. Update on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is questionable. We probably won't have that news before the first game locks. Maybe we'll be gifted with it, but that is the second game, the night game. So an hour and a half before the game, the injury report will come out for Sammy Watkins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Le'Veon Bell. Right now I'm projecting them all in. I don't really have any other thing to do, right? There's not much. You at least have direct pivots, right? If they're all ruled out, well, even if Bell's in, like if Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Watkins are ruled out, we have McCole Hardman and Pringle and Williams, all those guys are direct pivots on the same team. So it's at least in their viable pivots. So it's not as big of a concern. It's not like Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets ruled out and the only other guys are massively expensive to put in your lineups and you have no options. No, Williams is basically a very similar price point. What do y'all think about Ronald Jones and Uncle Lenny together? I have a rule against getting that. I won't have 2 running backs from the same team or 2 tight ends from the same team together. Which running back from Kansas City do you like? Whichever one starts. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if he doesn't start, then Williams. I don't want Le'Veon Bell today. Are you fading the Green Bay running backs? Tampa Bay defensive line back together and seems to be in a committee in the Green Bay end. No. I have about 10% Jamal Williams around the field. I'll be below the field on Aaron Jones today. He'll probably come in. I have like a high 30% share of him. He'll probably be coming in the 50s. So I'll be below the field on Aaron Jones, but I'll still have him. He's not my top 2 owned running back. He's not my favorite running back. Jamal Williams just getting in some of my lesser owned lineups. He won't be like a single entry 3 max guy. So these are the quarterbacks on the screen right now. Pretty clear cut for me. I'm playing 2 quarterbacks today, but these are the running backs. We can put those up on the screen right now. Any questions, just reach out. Anything like that. We'll keep going down through these questions that we're getting right now. AJ Dillon today for you? No, I don't even know if he'll be playing, but no, not for me. Let's see what else we got here. Which running back from Kansas? So we just answered that one. What do you think? No Ronald Jones and Rojo. No, I don't want Fournette and Rojo together. Go Pack Go says on Wisconsin. Let's get it. Go Pack Go, Sal. Go Pack Go, my man. Go Pack Go. Best of luck today to us. To us, I say, like as if I'm on the team. I was going to ask something. I think I'm going to be doing 1 of 6 lineup. I mean, it's going to be different. Oh, with Fournette and Ronald Jones. Yeah, I'm not going to do it personally. It's not terrible. Sam, I'm new to Draftkings. I'm just curious. Which contests do you think are best to join for a $20 to $50 budget? Single entry and 3 max, smaller field stuff. I don't care how much the buy-in is. The buy-in could be a quarter. It could be 10 cents. It could be $5. It could be $50. Whatever you really want to be doing, right? It's a pretty small bankroll, so I'll be honest with you. Like, building that bankroll up is, I mean, you're going to need a pretty big-sized bank. Like, if you're starting with $50, you can probably win, like, the quarter, which I assume has like 1,000 in it, so that's kind of where you should be trying to go for. So like the 25-cent 20 maxes, it's $5 to enter. You can put 20 lineups in there if you have an optimizer. I wouldn't hand build 20 lineups personally. Other than that, though, single entry and 3 max small field events. Small field events are less than 1,000 people, less than 500 people. There's going to be a lot of tournaments out there. Sounds good, all good. Cool. All right, everybody says it sounds clear. Mike, what's up, man? Yeah, I was hoping that we would get some mods in here today. Mike, whoever else might join in, because I don't have the ability to ban people and not suspend them if we get any wise guys up in the chat. I like John Brown this week. Is a great value. What do you think, Sal? MVS, thanks for what you do. Appreciate you bringing the mental health to people. You bring good stuff in a unique way. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, Matt. Yeah, definitely. I like John Brown. He's one of my 3-4 highest owned receivers today. He's a very strong option. Look, there's not that much value on the slate as much as people think there are. There's just like mid-range plays everywhere, right? Like there's not value in terms of the 3K range. Like I'm not really sold on these Tampa Bay wide receivers filling in today. I'm not. I think that the tight ends are probably your best value plays, and that's why I'm okay playing 2 tight ends today. I think MVS is an interesting play, but just like always, he's boomer bust. He'll literally get you 0 points, or he'll get you a 50-yard reception. You have to hope it goes for a touchdown, right? He had it last week. Rodgers just overthrew him. He would have had a 50-yard touchdown to ice the game. So he's going to have that opportunity once or twice a game. It's just a matter of do they connect on it, and is it a touchdown? So MVS, yeah, I think he's a really good GPP large field type of play today because nobody's going to be on him, and he's going to run 25 routes. So I think he's a good play in that regard, but nowhere near it. Like I'm not going to play him in single entry 3 max, definitely not cash. But John Brown's good. Yeah, I think he's good. Literally just discovered your channel this morning. I assimilate information really fast, and I can't stand how slow other guys' information output is. I appreciate your no BS approach. Thank you. Hey, Joe, that's awesome. So you found like my pre-recorded video. Thank you. Yeah, man. I had like a comment the other day that was just like, if you can slow down your talking, we may be able to process it, and that will increase your likes. I was just like, listen, buddy, I don't care that much about the likes, and you want me to slow down 25 years, 24 years of the way I've talked? It's going to be tough. I've tried to mentally like slow myself down talking. It doesn't work. It makes me stumble over words. You can't actively think about the way that you talk. It's just not going to work. At least I don't. So thanks. I appreciate that. I appreciate that we got another, I assume an Italian based on your last name, fast talker, fast listener. Yeah, man. 2x everything on your podcast. You'll get caught up to speed. Single entry Bills or Chiefs stack. Yeah, I mean, the Bills are going to look like the better option today. They'll probably be lower owned overall. Mahomes with his turf toe is concerning because he doesn't have mobility, and Josh Allen does. So that might be the difference. I still have Mahomes projected out for more points, but I think it's starting to lead towards the Bills as the best overall stack today. Good morning, Sal. Hope all is well with you and your family, brother. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. What's up, Cody? How you doing? Somebody says Sal doesn't fuck around. Yeah, no, I try not to. Try not to. Hit the like and the subscribe. What do we got in here right now? We got almost 500 people in here. We've only been live for a couple of minutes or so. Yeah, we'll stay on as long as we got questions piling in, which I think is going to be all day long. I think it's going to be all day long here. Go Pack Go, get a win for my best friend, Dad, and you. Yeah, you like that. I like that. What do you guys think you must have no matter what? Guys that you must have no matter what? I mean, I think that guys you must have no matter what is probably the stud wide receivers. You need, I'd assume 2 of the 3. 2 of the 3. Adams, Hill. I mean, you need 2 of the 4, if not 3 of the 4, of Kelsey, Adams, Hill, and Diggs. That's not shocking anybody today. I think a lot of people are going to be questioning, do I play all 3 stud receivers or 2 of them with Kelsey? I don't really think that's where the slate is made today. Like, sure, if they all go for like 20 and then you need the one that gets 21, well, all right, you're just kind of guessing at that point. But I don't think that's where the slate is made today. I think it's made in your stacks and how you correlate that to get different. Sal the man, what's going on, man? Sal, will you please scream, Maha the meatloaf? I don't think we're making no meatloaf today. I think I've had meatloaf like once in my life. Dude, you look happy. Let's go. Yeah, very happy. Just use your promo code for Superdraft. Hey, Sal, favorite Superdraft wide receiver today. Yeah, so I have my sister's laptop. We're trying to make this all work for you people, right? You beautiful people out there. I got my sister's laptop over here so that I can actually reference my projections ownership. So if you have any questions on projections ownership, if you want to see all of them, I'm not going to just read them all off, but it's on Patreon down below if you want to support the channel. Other sports there as well. MMA projections, rankings, ownership, PGA, NBA, all that type of stuff. My favorite, so you use my code on Superdraft, so I appreciate you. You said you just used it. Yeah. So let's see what we got in Superdraft today. My top Superdraft wide receiver is Diggs. I don't know how Diggs has a 15% bonus points on him. Diggs is basically a mono for me today with like Devonte Adams, and he's getting 15 extra % points on Superdraft. So yeah, Diggs for me. Thanks for using that code, man. Appreciate you. What do you think the ownership on Ronald Jones will be? I think it'll be low. I think it'll be mid-teens. I'm coming in above that. Not anything drastic. I'm still not having an overwhelming amount of Ronald Jones, but I'll be above the field. That's pretty low for a running back that you can expect double-digit touches and has the upside of 20-plus touches today in Ronald Jones. I still like Fournette more, but the ownership's also going to be reflecting like that. Hey Sal, where's your MMA video at? The MMA video went up yesterday. I'm not making MMA content. I am on Patreon for tools, but MMA Lotan, MMA Lock of the Night, Manpreet, he put up a 50-minute video yesterday morning. Well, I put it up, but he sent it to me, and it was also in a podcast form. So if you're not familiar, we do have a podcast as well, the Sal Vetri Show. Should probably plug that a little bit more often to try and like grow the podcast, because I know a lot of people rather listen on podcasts, or at least I'm definitely more of a podcast person than YouTube when I consume content. Just easier to do it on the go in your car, or you don't have to watch the video. But still stay on the YouTube sheets. But yeah, the Sal Vetri Show, if you're not familiar. But yeah, it went up yesterday morning. The MMA if you're not familiar, was Saturdays. So we'll be there's no events next weekend, but Manpreet's going to go on in either Thursday or Friday and do a live stream with all you guys and just kind of talk the basics of MMA betting and DFS. Any questions you guys have answered, we're going to talk about how we can get that set up next week, but then he'll be here for every MMA event, every UFC event. Well, not every MMA event, not Bellator or anything like that, but every UFC event. How much Daryl Williams do you have? I have 3% right now. I have 3% Williams, but that's clearly going to change. He'll probably be my highest owned running back if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is ruled out. If and when, I should say. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in, it's still Williams. If there's some situation where they're saying Edwards-Helaire is in and going to be limited, well, then we rear back, and I'm going to probably have a split difference on both of those guys, maybe even a little bit more of Williams. Snow game in Green Bay benefits pass. I feel like it will be hard for Fournette in the passing game, though. Snow game in Green Bay, it's not going to be a blizzard, so I don't really change much, right? I don't really change much. Brady knows how to play in those elements. Rodgers knows how to play in those elements. You can argue that Gronk came to Tampa Bay to not play in the cold. You can argue that, Chris Godwin obviously knows how to play in those elements out of Penn State. You can argue that some guys just don't, right? But I think for the most part, those guys are going to be okay. Ronald Jones out of Florida, Leonard Fournette, LSU, and then Jacksonville. So those are some colder guys, but they're not receivers. So I think snow game, fine for Leonard Fournette too. If anything, more checkdowns. I personally believe that offenses are much more better equipped to tackle lesser footing games, right? So if it's wet out there, if it's slick, if you have Devonte Adams knowing where he's going and the defender doesn't know where he's going, when Devonte Adams jukes off the line of scrimmage or does his release, it's going to be even more of an advantage when the defender doesn't know where he's going. Like a couple weeks ago against the Bears, in a snow game, Devonte Adams was hopping. He was hopping, not even pushing off to get an even more of because he knew where he was going. He was saying this in the post-game interview. This guy's just a genius and obviously elite. He was just kind of jumping, and while he was jumping, choosing the way that he was going based on where his opponent's feet were sliding based on it's just insane. Just insane, the levels to the shit that these guys who are elite go through. Highest owned quarterback for you. I'm only playing 2 quarterbacks today in 150s. I'm only playing 2 in single entry and 3 max. It's basically a 50-50 split for me with Josh Allen and Mahomes. I have more Allen, but it's by 4%. Fournette or Jones, who has the bigger upside? I think Fournette. Is stacking the Green Bay game going to be low owned? Yes. Do you think Williams and or Ronald Jones are solid leverage plays? I don't think Williams is if Clyde Edwards-Helaire plays. I think Ronald Jones is a pretty solid leverage play. I think there's a chance Edwards-Helaire doesn't receive a massive workload if he starts. If Edwards-Helaire is starting, I'm projecting a full workload. I'm projecting Williams. Yeah, Williams can still see 6 to 8 touches. Bell can still see 4 or 5 touches. I'm projecting 15-plus touches for Clyde Edwards-Helaire if he starts, unless they tell us news that he's only going to play half the snaps. Best tight end in the Bucs today, Gronk. John Brown or Beasley today. They're basically 1v1s for me. They're the exact same guys. I have John Brown as a better play. I have slightly more ownership than John Brown, but I have 30% plus ownership of both of those guys. Hill or Kelsey for a GPP today. Good afternoon. Hill or Kelsey for a GPP today. My answer is going to be both. Honestly, my answer is both. Yeah, if you force me to choose one of Hill or Kelsey, it will be it'll be Hill. Lazard is sneaky play today. I'm off of him. Lazard, I think, is going to pick up more ownership than he should because he caught a 50-yard touchdown last week. He also dropped one that probably would have been a long touchdown. Lazard's a good wide receiver, but there's a lot better options in that fork range, like the Bills guys. I prefer Sammy Watkins to Lazard today. Lazard, if he doesn't catch a touchdown last week, is half as owned as he is this week. So just because there was a bad coverage spot, they crashed them when they shouldn't have a safety and left Lazard one-on-one and he ran right by them. Yeah, they kind of guessed run, really. And they thought he was going to be run blocking because Rodgers made a motioned him in a little bit. But outside of that, it wasn't that good of a week for Lazard. What? Outside of that reception, a 40-yard gain from him, which has been consistent to this point. Who would you rather have, Kelsey or Diggs today? Yeah, so this is going to be the question all day long. Sal, you're the man. What's up, man? So the question all day long is going to be Kelsey versus one of the 3 elite wide receivers, because everybody either wants to play the 3 elite wide receivers, which is good, or the 2 of them and Kelsey, which is also good. The difference between those guys in projections, yeah, I have projected out right now Diggs is a better play than Kelsey. I want Kelsey over Diggs. I want Diggs over Kelsey. I want Diggs over all of those guys. Diggs is the best overall play in the slate today. He's $1,000, maybe even $1,500 too cheap. The number 1 play in the slate today is Stephon Diggs. He's been like that for 3 weeks now. So your question of Kelsey or Hill or Kelsey of Adams, that starts to come in play. It depends on the rest of your lineup. If you're playing Mahomes, I'm just playing Tyreek Hill and Kelsey and not playing Adams. It doesn't feel great to not play Adams, but it also won't feel great to not play Kelsey when you're playing Mahomes, to not play Kelsey when you're playing Josh Allen, and that's a stack for correlation upside. Yeah, Adams can score 35 today. They all can. So I don't think that's where the slate is won and lost. Obviously, it could be, right? These guys are going to score a lot of points. Let's just say they get their projections today. Adams goes for 25. Diggs goes for 25. Tyreek's 22, 23, and Kelsey goes for 20. you still might need Kelce in that lineup if the next closest tight end is getting you like 6 points today, which is possible, right? If Cameron Brate just doesn't catch his extra reception that he's been getting the last couple of weeks, if Gronk continues to be bad and blocking more, not running as many routes, if Dawson Knox is just Dawson Knox and gets 6 points, you're basically fading Robert Tonyan, good game, which I think there's a good chance that Tonyan has a good game today, which is why I like 2 tight end lineups a little bit more than usual today, really ever. But that can be a thing. Kelce can outscore every other tight end by 20 points today, and all those other wide receivers can go off, and you need Kelce just because there's nobody, like, it's really hard to take a 20-point difference in a position today. So for those reasons, I think that the odd man out for me today is Devonte Adams. It really doesn't even have to do with price point as much as just stacking and the correlation in those lineups. But if you wanted to play Devonte Adams over Kelce today and just have the 3 stud wide receivers, there's nothing wrong with that. There's not. It's really just a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D approach. Kelce's my least projected player of those 4, and I would say that he has a massive opportunity cost of not playing him at tight end more so than Adams does. Like if Chris Godwin scores 18 or Mike Evans scores 18 today and Adams goes for like 23, you obviously just hit the nut low by playing Adams, in my opinion, assuming that Kelce does anything decent. Rojo in full swing today. Previous success against Green Bay, keep Fournette to limited touches. Yeah, I mean, the previous success against Green Bay is a little bit overstated, right? They get almost 2 pick sixes, and then they're just able to run the ball at will. The Green Bay defense didn't have Kenny Clark that week, which is massive. He's one of the best run stoppers in the NFL. Didn't have, I believe, Kirksey that week either, one of their linebackers, one of their better defenders that's not in their secondary. So, yeah, totally different teams. I wouldn't be leveraging an injured Ronald Jones based on what he did like week 4 this year. But I think he's a decent leverage just because of the price that he is and his ownership. Still prefer Fournette. Is 5 to 6 players from a game stack viable in a GPP? It's optimal. It's optimal today. I really don't want to be doing much less. Like in single entry and 3 max, yeah, 5 to 6 from at least 5 to 6 from a game starts to make sense. 4 is fine, right? If you're doing your standard quarterback, 2 players from a team and 1 from the other team. I think that's too light, though. I think that's too light. I'd rather just hope that the Tampa Bay Green Bay game early on is like a 20 to 17 game and not 35-31. And even if it's 35-31, just doesn't go to spread out, doesn't all go to the quarterbacks, running backs, whatever it might be. But I'd rather just fade that game, or if you want to fade vice versa, and just hope that your game is the game where there's 4 touchdowns per offense, right? Which the second game seems to be more like that. Sal, smack me in the mouth with some stack of Dollarooskies. Yo, crazy. How many people are in here right now? Somebody let me know. If you're just tuning in, I'm a little bit behind on the comments. I usually am because, we have like a 10-second delay on them, so people can't comment nonstop. But there's still like 700 people in here, so hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Sal, defense, no interest in defense. Slow down, Sal. LOL the best. Never. Sal got the whole fam helping out. Yeah, we really do. How do you see the Bills receivers after Diggs? It's Diggs, John Brown, and Beasley for me. And I have a shit ton of Diggs, so yeah, he's the clear number 1. I think he's my highest owned player today. In general, even more than Kelce. But after that, it's John Brown, 2A, 2B with Beasley. Like, I think you can play all 3 of them with John. I think you can play all 3 of them in the same lineup today with John Brown, Beasley, and Diggs, assuming that you're playing Josh Allen or assuming that you're playing Mahomes. Lazard or Brown today? Brown. Do you think A.J. Dillon could run out the game if the Packers get up? I think A.J. Dillon can see 8 touches today. Assuming that Williams and Jones are healthy, assuming that they don't get hurt, I think that the upside if A.J. Dillon is active and healthy to play, I think his upside is like 8 touches. Like he was going to get 8 touches like last week. They were using 3 running backs. So yeah, I think that's what you can get from him. 8 touches. Run out the game, he got like 12 or 15. I would have to see an injury from somebody else. Cool, I'll check out that podcast. Yeah, definitely. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in. All right, so people are letting me know right now. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate everybody letting me know about Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in. Is CHE limited? Is this live or am I an idiot? No, it's live, Brandon. It's live. Gerald says both, Brandon. He says it's live and you're an idiot. But then he said joking. All good. Watkins is doubtful now, isn't he? So Bell is out today, so everybody's telling me best tight end in the slate is Kelce and then Tonyan to me. This is live. Did you smash that like button? Let's go. Yo, Sal, listen to the GPP podcast. Question on a unique build. Can I use Singletary as a running back with 2 pass catchers in Buffalo? Yes, I think you can. On a 2-game slate, I think that's viable. On a 10-game slate, I would say all 4 of those no. But yeah, on a 2-game slate, I think that's more than viable. Hey, Sal, just got here. Fournette or Rojo on a DK GPP. I won't have any lineups for both of those guys today. I set up a rule just so I don't get that. I'm pulling up Twitter right now just so I can check in on some of the news today. I'm getting told that we have news on Leonard. Somebody's saying Le'Veon Bell. Somebody's saying that we have news now on Sammy Watkins being doubtful. If somebody can verify that, let me know. But I don't see the Sammy Watkins doubtful stuff. Let me pull up the wide receivers so you can get a look at that. But either way, if Sammy Watkins is doubtful, I'll update all that on Patreon after the show. I would be doing it during the show so I can aware you, but I don't have the proper means of technology since I'm on the road with all that. Who will get more points, Singletary or Tonyan today? I have Singletary projected for more, but that's a situation where I kind of like, I'd rather have, I have Singletary projected for more, but I like the idea of getting like a Tonyan and a flex over a Singletary today. I like that idea, just for more being a lot more unique. Would you drop down to Mercedes Lewis for cheap tight ends to get more leverage elsewhere? No, but I actually thought while I was lifting in the gym today, the thoughts that you have and then you end up losing all your money when you play those. I was thinking today in the gym, I was like, is there a way to get all 4 of these guys? Kelsey, I was in the gym, so I was like trying to add their salaries up. And while literally doing like 500 reps of biceps, I just did a shit ton of biceps and then left. And I haven't even tried it yet, but I assume there's no way in hell because you have to play a quarterback that all the quarterbacks are at least 6K plus. But I was like, can you get Mercedes Lewis and just hope that he gets one of those play action, like 3-yard touchdowns from the goal line the Packers love to do, especially in big games to their tight ends that Rodgers loves. He loves Mercedes Lewis. I mean, Mercedes Lewis, I think, is probably Rodgers' favorite teammate. Just by the way that he talks about him, how much he respects him. It's very similar in the past. He had a very strong relationship with Andrew Corliss out of Penn State. He had an insane relationship with Tom Crabtree. He's like one of his real-life best friends right now, and they would always do these plays just to get those guys the ball. Now, this is narrative street right now, right? But, yeah, the big dog Mercedes Lewis, if he had like 6 points today, 7 points, and had that touchdown, that's clearly enough for his price point, but I don't even know if that really benefits you in terms of can you actually fit all those stud wide receivers. And you might be able to get like a Godwin instead of like a MVS, but I doubt that that's going to be helping out too much. Any love to Godwin or Evans with projected lower ownership? Yeah, so I don't think they'll be that low owned. I think Godwin will be one of the higher owned wide receivers today. But yeah, I'm around the field on Godwin. I'm slightly below the field on both. Like both of them, slightly below the field on both. If you're not playing the 3 stud receivers today, and you're playing Kelsey instead, getting to like one of those Tampa Bay wide receivers as like a one-off from that game or one of your 2 guys from that game is pretty interesting, I would say. All right, cool. We got like 700 people in here. Nice. So did you say Ronald Jones ownership today? Yeah, so I'm currently projecting Ronald Jones for around mid-teens in ownership. I got him at 12% right now. Wouldn't be shocked if it's like 15. But yeah, that's where I got him. Hit the like button, hit all those things. Appreciate that. Thoughts on Tyler Johnson? Yeah, so I think these Tampa Bay wide receivers are a little bit phony in my opinion. They're cheap. That's the thing. I would rather play Robert Tonyan than... I'd probably rather play Tonyan today in a flex spot, so a double tight end to be unique. Take that advantage of getting more unique there over a Tyler Johnson or a Scotty Miller. Here's the concerns with Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller. They'll cut into each other today. I think Godwin moves to the outside a lot more, which maybe puts Tyler Johnson in the slot. Not the greatest of matchups. Sullivan is okay. But I think they'll cut into each other enough to where you probably get like 12 to 15 routes out of each of them, which more times than not, they're not going to be high target rate players. That might at best lead to 3 targets for each of them. Like odds are it's like 5 to 6 targets total for the 2 of them, so 3 targets each. Do you think they can pay off their salary at 3 targets each? If they score a touchdown, maybe. Like if it's like a 1 catch, 12 yards and a touchdown, that might not even work for you. So the other part of that is they'll probably see Jair for like 25 to 30% of the game. The rest of the game, I think he'll be on Mike Evans. So it's just concerning. If there's 2 wide receiver sets, Godwin moves to the outside now instead of it being Antonio Brown out there. I think they move Godwin to the outside and not have Tyler Johnson in a playoff game on the outside or Scotty Miller. So I think they're both kind of smoke screens today. I'd rather play MVS, who's going to run 25 routes on his own right, maybe even more, over both of those Tampa Bay wide receivers today. I'm leaning to play Tonyan over both of those guys. Yeah, I'm not too much into the Tyler Johnsons or Scotty Millers today. I understand the appeal to them, but this is not McCole Hardman of last week where we could project McCole Hardman pretty comfortably for mid-20s in routes to upper 20s. These 2 guys, one of them might run 25 routes. They might just say, hey, Tyler Johnson, you're a rookie. You don't have as much experience. Scotty Miller's been balling out a decent amount this year, especially with Tom Brady. You're going to get to 25 routes. And then Scotty Miller would look like a good play, projecting for close to double-digit fantasy points and one of the best plays in the slate. But we haven't seen that the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, we saw Tyler Johnson start to actually run routes in the playoffs, which was encouraging. And then last week, he actually ended up running more routes than Scotty Miller. Not by a major amount, though. Who benefits the most for the Tampa Bay receivers with AB out? Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller, I'm projecting to split the usage, so those 2 guys benefit. It's not enough for me to really care too much, though. It made Godwin even more in play for me, basically. It gave Godwin a little bit more of a target share. Long shot to play for Watkins from Schefter. All right, cool. Still in play with, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is actually going to be active today, based on, let me pull up Adam Schefter's Twitter. If he's going to be active, right, you might be saying, why isn't this guy up with the news? If you're just tuning in, I'm working with just one laptop today as I'm tuning in from the road. It's a miracle that we got this up all and running, got like 10 wires everywhere just trying to get live. But it's all good. So I don't have I usually work off of 3 total screens, and I'm able to have the news on one. I'm able to update any projections that I need to on the other. I'll be doing that after the stream today. But let's see what we got on our guy. Chiefs will likely have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but without Le'Veon Bell for today's AFC Championship game, per source. Additionally, the Chiefs will test Sammy Watkins pregame, but don't sound optimistic he will play. All right, yeah. So basically, I'm gonna still wait. I'm going to still wait on what we're doing with Sammy Watkins. I'll probably project after the show for him to be out, and that makes Mecole Hardman look like a... So what this is going to do now to my exposures is, assuming Sammy Watkins is out, this is what we're doing. A yes for Mecole Hardman, and now Byron Pringle actually becomes in play. Byron Pringle's price point doesn't change. Byron Pringle saw 3 targets in the first half last week with Mahomes. He actually dropped one of them. So... yeah, I mean, if Byron Pringle at $3,200, he's now in play. And now it's much easier to get these Mahomes plus 4 of his pass catchers. For you to now play Mahomes plus Mecole Hardman plus Sammy Watkins plus Tyreek Hill plus Byron Pringle, yeah, that's more than viable, and that starts to look really good. Now, obviously, if Mahomes goes out there and he's not himself with his turf toe and has 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, you're dead money. You're playing for the shootout. Makes it even easier to get to Josh Allen, Diggs, Brown, run it back with whoever you want. Hill, Mecole Hardman. Now, Mecole Hardman is a major priority on the slate, assuming that Sammy Watkins is indeed out and going to be doubtful. With Le'Veon Bell news and him out, nothing really changes for me. I've been projecting, I believe, Le'Veon Bell to be out today or only to see 2 touches. So, yeah, you can say maybe one of those touches goes to Williams, maybe one goes to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But I've been projecting Le'Veon Bell for 2 fantasy points this week on a very low workload. So nothing's really going to change for Williams. The problem with Williams is I don't think it's going to be a split backfield. You'll probably split percentage-wise, maybe 50-50, but touch-wise, I think you'll probably see 15, 16 touches for Clyde Edwards-Helaire today, and 6 to 8 for Williams, maybe 8 to 10, which keeps Williams slightly in play, but he's not cheap anymore. He's $4,800. He's basically the same price or very close to it of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, just $200 less. So I'm not going to still get to Williams. He'll see a slight bump up, but I'll still only be projecting Williams for 5 fantasy points. Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now I'm projecting for around 14. So that's basically what the news is going to do. If Watkins, who is not optimistic to play, is what the news is. If he goes out there, and since we don't get that news before the first game, I'm going to project it as if he's out. Mecole Hardman is now the priority, and Byron Pringle starts to go from a guy I got 0% of to a guy that I can see myself getting into the 14-15% ownership of, and he won't be owned at all. So that is assuming that news stays firm. The Clyde Edwards-Helaire news is nothing really changes for me. Le'Veon Bell being out was basically how I was kind of projecting out today. So I've been trying to fit all 4. It doesn't work. Yeah, okay. So I'm new to Draftkings, and someone in chat suggested I do a $50 double up. Is this more efficient? I don't really care for those. Or do you suggest joining? So it's up to you, to be honest with you. What is your goal? If your goal is to just try and build a bankroll, just do a $50 head-to-head or $50 50-50. In my opinion, double ups suck unless you're playing a single entry and you really know what you're doing. But there's a good amount of rake in double ups. It's clearly not people consider double ups cash. I mean, if it's a single entry, maybe single entry double up, but double ups aren't cash to me. Not 50% of the field wins. You have to take a little bit more risks when that's not the case. So yeah, I would prefer playing. I mean, I personally don't play cash anymore, so I would prefer to play a GPP with small field single entry 3 max. Hill and Tonyan or Kelsey and Knox? Hill and Tonyan. Sal, any love for TJ Yeldon with no Moss in the routine? No. Sal, great stuff as usual. How much stock do you put into the previous matchups against opponents? Not much stock, unless there's a real reason to, but not much stock. Matchup is 5 to 10% of my projections, so that same stock. Can you see playing 3 running backs to get difference out? No, I probably won't. Not if we're playing 150 maxes, yes, I'll have lineups with 3 guys in it. But to not use that as a cop out, and my main lineup for single entry and 3 max, which I haven't built yet because I have a shit ton of time to, I have 4 hours to. I'm not going to play running back in the flex today, or at least I don't envision playing a running back in the flex today because there are so many good goddamn wide receivers on the slate, and there's actually a couple viable tight ends. If I'm going double tight end today, it's going to be Kelsey and Tonyan. I think that's where the upside comes in. If Tonyan can find the end zone, he starts to score 15 fantasy points, somewhere around there. If that's the case, and you assume Kelsey gets his 20 plus, then that starts to become a very viable build. So if I'm going double tight end, it's probably Kelsey and Tonyan. Kelsey and any other tight end is not terrible today. Knox, Gronk, Brait, I probably don't want to go to. I know that was popular not popular, but turned out really well for people last week. I'm not going to go back to that. But I'd be choosing wide receivers and tight ends in the flex over running backs today in single entry and 3 max, and that's something I haven't said probably ever. Probably ever. McCoy packed with top 2 wide receivers need to get cheap insert. I'd be surprised if LaShawn McCoy touches the field today, so no. Maybe not. I'd be shocked if LaShawn McCoy saw more than 2 touches today. I'd be surprised if he touched the field. Lazard or Beasley for my flex? Beasley. Best tight end other than Kelsey with Allen. With Allen, I mean, you get the correlation from stacking Knox, which is appealing, but I think Tonyan's the next best tight end. Hey, Sal, I got all 4 in the same lineup on DK. It's easy. It's easy. My DMs are open, somebody says. Sure. I mean, Byron Pringle just made it a little bit easier. Appreciate the feedback, my guy. Very helpful stuff. Appreciate that, man. Trying to choose over Singletary, Hardman, or Gronk for my flex. Singletary, Hardman, or Gronk, I'd go Hardman. MVS is a better play than Lazard, ? When you factor in ownership, I think so. If MVS is going to be coming in 5 to 6 times the ownership as, or if Lazard is going to be 5 or 6 times the zone as MVS, I think MVS becomes the better play in GPPs then. In cash, it's Lazard, but in GPPs, it's MVS to me. Like, Lazard is the better wide receiver on this team, right? When healthy, there's no doubt about it. You saw that the first month of the season before he got hurt, and you've been starting to see that as he gets ramped up. But both these guys get open. MVS gets open. It's just a matter of does he actually catch it? Does Rodgers connect with him? Like last week, it could have been just as easily that MVS is the guy who's 15% owned and it's not Lazard. Because if Aaron Rodgers hits MVS, who got open and was open for a 50-plus yard touchdown, wide open, right? Aaron Rodgers overthrew him out of bounds. If he hits him there, then it's MVS who's 15% owned this week and Lazard who looks like the good play at 4% ownership, right? It's as simple as that. So I think that Lazard's going to be the guy who gets you these 8-yard slants, 11-yard receptions, way more than MVS. MVS, you're going to have like 3 or 4 opportunities for him to really hit a big one. But for 6 times the ownership of Lazard in a GPP, I'd rather just go to MVS. Cheaper price point, you can leave more money on the table, but it's just a game theory thing. It's just a game theory thing. I think that they're pretty equal in terms of their ability to pay off for you today. So if one's 6 times his own, I'll just go to the other one if the ownership is pretty close. Hopefully that makes sense. I agree on Adams. I think he will be double teamed with opens up Tonyan, Lazard, and Valdez. I don't think he'll be double teamed. If you're saying safety over the top, that's one thing. But double team, that doesn't happen anymore. Last time I remember that was maybe like Julio on a goal line or Calvin Johnson a lot. You can't really double team that much in the NFL today unless you have no other options. And the Packers have Tonyan, who they split out wide a lot and put in the slot a lot. That's a weapon. They have Lazard. They have MVS. Like they have Aaron Jones out of the backfield. You really can't double team a guy unless you just think that every other one of your players can win one-on-one. And that's not the case. Robert Tonyan is the NFL leader at the tight end position in separation. So he wins. He just wins that matchup right there. So it's there alone is hard to double team. Aaron Jones is a weapon out of the backfield. So you're going to put a linebacker on him one-on-one with no like safety or zone help. That's a concern. Lazard, you can probably go one-on-one with most of the time, but he'll win half the time, maybe more. MVS you can go one-on-one with, but you can't double team Adams unless you're in the red zone and you just don't care because there's not as much field to work with. But you can put a safety over the top, but he's been dealing with that all season long. And it doesn't matter because the way that they scheme Adams in is on the goal line, just easy touchdowns. Anything in the middle of the field, it's really hard to double team. Like you're trying to double team the outside. The second he starts to go 10 to 15 yard routes in the middle of the field, well, what's that safety doing? There's no help there on the safety, right? So you're really just trying, with the safety over the top, take away a bigger play. But Adams isn't known for a deep play receiver, right? He's fine at that. He has deep play touchdowns fairly often, but he's more so known for his route running in the intermediate range, which is, I would say, borderline impossible to double team. Good morning, Jackie Vetri. Mama Vetri is in the chat. Hello, my mother. Somebody says, why do you talk so fast? I guess I can blame part of it on being an Italian from New York and being in a family, from just immediate family and bigger family that talks fast. So the nurture side of it, I guess that's it. I don't know why else I talk so fast. Why don't you listen faster, right? Like, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to why I talk so fast. I don't see Lazard getting past Jamal Dean much. Or Jamal Dean. Yeah, Jamal Dean's been good this year. After his injury, I want to say he's lost a step, but hasn't been as great. Carlton Davis has been up and down depending on who he's guarding. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Lazard definitely has a tougher matchup this week than he did last week. That's no doubt about it. I like MVS for first touchdown of the game at plus 2,000, I assume you mean. Hey, Sal, no question, just saying what's good, bro. What's going on, Michael? How you doing? Adams is still going to go off, probably. Best value running back today, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Thoughts on Brady and his receivers? I'm playing 0% Brady. His receivers, I like Godwin and then Evans, and I am pretty bearish, meaning I'm against Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller today. I just think they feed into each other enough. I think that they're both quality players, but not enough to stay on the field in 2 wide receiver sets over Godwin and Evans. And I also think that they're going to have like 2 or 3 opportunities each to pay off for you, and I don't know if that's enough volume. Even at their cheap price points, I don't know if that's enough volume. Like you're going to get, if indeed Sammy Watkins is out today, you're going to get McCole Hardman with 6 to 8 opportunities / touches in this game, whether it's targets or end rounds. I'd rather pay a couple $100 more for those guys. I'd rather pay for Byron Pringle, who's $200 today, who, if there's no Sammy Watkins, I could feel pretty comfortable runs 15 to 25 routes and sees 3 to 5 targets instead of 1 to 3 like Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller. White will handle Jones today. Devin White will handle Ronald Jones today. Sounds good. Who's projected for more points, Gronk or Brait? I have right now, good question. I have Gronk for 7.2 fantasy points on Patreon. Link down below. Sign up. Support your boy. And then I have Brait for 6.2. Hopefully that helps. Good morning, Mama Vetri. We all talk fast and loud, my mom says. Talk fast to get heard in a loud, big family. That's exactly right. Somebody says, why are you listening so slow? That's what I said. As far as I'm concerned, it's more content and less time. How do you complain about that? Yeah, I don't think... some people definitely complain because they're just like, Jesus. And they don't know how to slow the video down, which is fair because YouTube kind of hides how to slow the video down. You can't slow it down while I'm live unless you watch the replay. So if you click back 5 minutes right now and you slow the video down. Actually, you could probably slow it down right now. And then you can get me talking like this in the video, right? That's basically what people would get instead. But yeah, I've been told that I talk fast. That's definitely the truth. I got a lot of words in the head I'm trying to get out. And sometimes I veer off onto random-ass side tangents. Completely fading Brady? Yeah, I have 0%. Why do you... All right, Brown, Beasley, and Watkins over Adams, question mark? I mean, individually, those guys, no. But, what's the rest of your lineup? Brown, Beasley, and Watkins over... I mean, Watkins is now doubtful, but Adams is the better player over all of those guys except for maybe Brown, based on price point. But it really depends on the rest of your lineup. If you're playing Brown, Beasley, and Watkins today, that means you're not playing 2 of the 3 big wide receivers, which I would want probably 2 of the 3 big wide receivers today. You need to talk fast and use your hands more. I can't use my hands right now. That's the issue because I'm holding one of my hands on my phone so I could read the comments. Again, if you're getting in right now, because I know there's a lot more people getting in right now, which is also a good time to shout out Jock Market again, but there's 1,000 people watching, so shout out all you. But yeah, I'm at my parents' house until tomorrow. Came home for the game and just hang out with the family. So I'm working off of another laptop that isn't connected to this one, so it's really hard to get everything going. I'll put up the tight ends right now. Actually, I'll scroll in the wide receivers so you can see the rest of the wide receivers that I have interest in. If indeed, so this is the caveat, if there is no Sammy Watkins today, I start to have no interest in Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson, and my interest in that low 3K range at wide receiver. So my interest in the 3K range would become Byron Pringle at the wide receiver position and some MVS, and then it would go over to Robert Tonyan at the tight end position and those guys. But I would move all of my exposure on a Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson to Byron Pringle because they would all start to look like a very similar play. Pringle would actually probably look like a better play to me because of how often I expect Kansas City to pass today, how many routes I expect him to run, and he's cheaper. But yes, shout out Jock Market. If you're just getting in here, it's way more people. So if you watch from the beginning, another plug coming because there's a lot more people in here. It just makes sense. Got my desk falling apart on me. But yeah, Jock Market is a daily fantasy sports meet, the stock exchange. Great people over there. They have massive just overlay contest right now for this conference championship. Jock Market, you could buy shares and players, so that's pretty exciting. I think that there's going to be a lot of upside in McCole Hardman shares today. The second that Sammy Watkins gets ruled out, he's leaning doubtful right now. So yeah, McCole Hardman looks like McCole Hardman. I'm not going to say he could lead the slate in points because there's so many stud receivers in Kelsey on the slate, but McCole Hardman can sell as the 13th or 14th guy in the market today and finishes the 6th guy, and you just double or triple your money just like that. Maybe even quadruple, right? Your money just like that, depending on how many fantasy points he actually ends up finishing with. But yeah, if you have any questions specifically on Jock Market, put them in the chat right now. Ask me on Discord, ask me on Twitter. If you use the code SAL20, totally free to download the app. You just put the code in SAL20, SAL20. They give you a $20 credit right there. So bam, you got $20 to play with in the market. You can buy and sell players up until lock, but then even after that as well, you can try and buy and sell players. If a guy's doing pretty bad in the first quarter and you think he's going to bounce around, you buy low on him. If a guy's playing really well in the first quarter, you don't think that's going to stay, well, then you try and sell high on him, right? The whole points of the market. Buying and selling creates a market. Alrighty, gang. Italians rock. You need to talk fast and use your hands. Appreciate that. Tight end screen real quick. Yeah, man. I'll give you the tight end screen real quick. It's going to be probably something you've already assumed, but here you go. Speed, kill, Sal, stay, gold, and pony boy. Interesting. Who do you think will be the underdog in either game? Who do you think will be the underdog in either game? So the underdogs we already know based on Vegas. The underdog today is going to be Tampa Bay and Buffalo. They're both underdogs today. Jones or Fournette today? I have more Fournette, but I have 30% Fournette and 20% Jones, so it's nothing crazy. No love for Demarcus Robinson. Not much. Yeah, not much. He will be a guy who's going to be low owned, but so will Pringle. Robinson lost his routes run to Hardman, and Pringle's even taking his routes run. Yeah, Robinson's an interesting one because last year he was used a good amount early on, and then he just kind of fades away, doesn't get much separation. So, yeah, I had 3% Robinson before the news on Sammy Watkins. After I re-crunched for Sammy Watkins being out, I'm sure I will have even more ownership. But yeah, I didn't have that. Adam Schefter tweet came out after I recorded the Closing Thoughts podcast this morning. I was editing it while I was finishing closing. I started it at 5, and then that was like right before that happened. And then I finished it up a little bit later on after I showered and ate and some stuff. Sally V just entered any Scotty Miller today. I have about 3% Scotty Miller, but I assume I'm going to be transferring that over to Byron Pringle. You'll see me someday, new to the stream, but my shit looks fire starting in 2 weeks. I don't know what that means. So if you had an iPhone, in podcast right on the screen, you can listen to Sal on 0.5x. Yeah, there you go. What was your highest contest winning amount? Like the most I've won was 17.7K, which was this year in week 4 or 5, whenever the Cowboys faced the Seahawks. We had full game stacks with the Cowboys. We had Michael Gallup in that game over. Gallup was the one who went off. Worked out very well. Just tuning in and missed in the beginning. Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire playing? Yes, he's expected to play. Le'Veon Bell is out, and Sammy Watkins is leaning now instead of questionable, leaning more towards doubtful. Sal, what's up with Jock Markerlink? It's not working for me. Jock Markerlink isn't working for you? What you mean, my man? Let me check the link. Let me check the link for you. I'll check the link on my phone to make sure everything's looking good. Actually, let's check the link right here. We can do it live. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Actually, I don't know if it'll come up on this. Yeah, it's probably not. That's a stream settings right there. Is anybody else having an issue with the Jock Marker link? It's in the description down below. Even if it's not in the description down below, you just go to your phone, right? I'm sure y'all got your phone, your third limb, your third arm. You just type in JOCKMKT, and then when you download the app, there will be a little bubble that says so you can get your $20 credit, have a promo code, and you type in SAL20. We got almost 1,000 people in here, so hit that like, hit that subscribe. Appreciate you all a ton. We got 3 hours or so till the game, so very nice, very nice. I slowed your voice down, and now you sound like Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman from the Joe Rogan. I've listened to some of the past Lex Friedmans. I just saw another one came out. I'll probably listen to it after this. Sal's crazy. He actually thinks he's made 6 figures this year, but it really made 60K. I mean, we got the video proof of 272K, but yeah, crazy would be, I mean, taking 3 hours of my time to make a video to lie, and that by that much seems pretty silly. Got Hill. What's up, fellas? What's up, man? Got Hill, Godwin, and Diggs as my wide receivers today. Sounds good. Viable to run Jones and Fournette? I won't be doing that. It's not going to be popular, but I won't be doing it. Sally, NBA has been tough to win lately. I haven't played the NBA yesterday because I'm traveling, and I won't play it today because I'm not in an area where I can feel comfortable being around my lineups at lock. AJ Dillon and Mercedes Lewis as a punt play. Lewis. Rodgers had a terrible game against Tampa Bay, too. Yeah, none of that stuff matters to me early on. Like what happened 3 months ago when teams were totally different, player personnel on both sides of the ball was totally different. And also in that game was a wild, weird game. They're up 10-0. He throws a pick six and almost throws another batted ball that went for a pick six, almost went for a pick six. Tackle it like the 2. When you almost throw 2 pick sixes, it's tough. Let's win some bank today, Sal. Let's do it. Public thinks both games go very differently this time around, and I would agree. Alrighty. Yeah, I would agree too. Bills Mafia mount up. Hey, what is Sammy Watkins' status? Questionable but leaning doubtful. Who's Jair shadowing today? Or are you fading that wide receiver? Jair is going to be, he was on 75% of the time. Mike Evans in the last game only gave up 1 catch on 5 targets. I would expect similar today. I would expect 70% shadow on Mike Evans, 65%. Sal, will 100% Kelsey be enough in my 20 max? Yep. Would you run Kelsey and Knox in the same lineup? I think it's okay. Not priority. Rodgers or Allen today? I'll go with Allen there. New to streaming, going to be doing NASCAR projections, picks, and projections like you. Best of luck. What's the best advice for today? Make sure that you have onslaughts of game stacks higher than you usually do. And then there's a lot of other settings that goes with that, but yes. What do we got here? What is your advice to someone who is new to Draftkings? Understand why you're playing. Are you playing just to try and win $1 million and play the Millie Maker? Are you playing because you actually want to make money and you don't care if that's $50, $1,000, $5, as long as it's profit? Well, understand how much you're playing with. I'm going to be honest with you. If you're not playing with at least $1,000, your bankroll is going to be totally different, like the strategy. If you're playing with $1,000, you can actually start to use like Kelly Criterion and whatever other theories to actually build a bankroll and efficiently do it to survive your lows and maximize on your highs. That's what that basically does. But if you're playing with like $50, $100, play small field, single entry, and 3 maxes. Unless you want to play cash and you're fine turning your $5 into $9, which more power to you if you are, but I don't want to be doing that. But small field, single entry, and 3 max. Contest selection. That's about it. You playing 3 lineups into the $1 million maker today is going to be you burning those 3 lineups. So if your goal is to just have the thought in the back of your mind that you could win $1 million today, even though you won't. But if that's just all the reason you want to play, then do that. If the reason you want to play is to actually win money, don't put any money into the Millie Maker. It's as simple as that. Put it into single entry and 3 maxes with small fields. The smaller the amount of entries in it, so the number that says 5 people out of 10,000, I probably don't want to play that contest honestly. 5 people out of 1,000 starts to look better. 5 people out of 230, yeah, those start to look a little bit better. The payouts to the top aren't going to be as nice, but in terms of like if you're playing a $5 contest with 200 people in it, yeah, your payout to first place would be like $200, $250, but turning $5 into $200 is pretty exciting to me at least. So most people won't be, and then they keep hitting deposit to play the Millie Maker. Any Gabriel Davis? No. How much more or less average do you win each week? I don't even know what the average is. I track it like by the month. Some weeks it's 0, right? In the NFL, some weeks it's 0, some weeks it's lost money, and some weeks it's 17.7K. This year was actually very good. We profited during the regular season over 20K for NFL DFS. You get one big bink and you should profit unless you're just terrible at your money. I remember last year seeing on Twitter, I don't know who the person was, so I'm not like shots fired or anything. I'm just remembering what I saw. But I saw some guy won like the Millie Maker. He won like $400,000 or something in a tournament on Draftkings. I assume he was a DFS pro or something because he had 150s in. And then he ended up going down like $300,000 in a year or $200,000. I don't know the exact number, but he ended up losing like 6 figures after winning a shit ton of money. That's not possible unless you're just playing recklessly. And that's got to be an insane mental swing. Like, I don't know, unless you're just well off with millions of dollars, I don't know how you just are okay with that type of a swing. But yeah, I don't know, like on average, what the week to week is going to be. Each week's different. Some weeks it'll be like one week I remember I won like $17. Like on the week that the Hail Mary from Murray to Hopkins was, I remember I was losing that week. It wasn't anything bad. I had a couple thousand in play and I was losing like $200, $300. So it was just like a down week. It was probably like a 10% loss week. I think I had like $2,400 in play. It's like a 10% loss, whatever that ends up being, 8% loss. And then the Hail Mary happens and I won like $17. So some weeks you literally win $17 on a couple $1,000 investments. I haven't lost every single dime I put in, like this year at least. Like if I play $300 or $3,000, I haven't lost $3,000. So it's never that bad. As long as you're diversifying in contest selection good enough, not just playing one lineup in every single thing you do. But yeah, it'll range. It will range. I'm about to start booting people. Yeah, boot whoever is bad. Boot whoever you would like to boot. Yeah, thanks, Gerald. Yeah, you don't even have to time anybody out. I would just block them for good. I don't know what they're saying. I don't get the messages, but you can just, because I'm not on my other stuff. What do we got? Adams or Kelsey today? Yeah, that's the question of the day. Adams or Kelsey? I don't think that's where you have to spend most of your energy today. I think getting the rest of your lineup situated is where you spend most of your energy. I have Adams for more fantasy points. I have Adams projected for 4 to 5 more fantasy points than Kelsey. So on paper, Adams looks like the better play. But Kelsey is also a massive opportunity cost at the tight end position. Kelsey is also a better stacking option today with his team and his game environment. So you have to take those things into account. If Adams scores 24 and Kelsey scores 22, but no other tight end is within 15 of Kelsey or 10 of Kelsey, there's a good chance Kelsey's in that winning lineup. Assuming that any other wide receiver does decently today, right? Because if Adams scores 23 and Kelsey's relatively close and you got Godwin or Mike Evans scoring like 17, 18, those guys are going to be in the winning lineup based on just the overall points because they're outscoring what those other tight ends are doing. AKA, if Kelsey gets 22 and you have Godwin getting 18, and now you have Dawson Knox with 6 in your lineup or Gronk with 6 in your lineup and Adams gets 20, those other guys are going to outscore it. So I like Kelsey more than Adams today in terms of GPP strategy. Game theory, stacking it up, opportunity cost. On paper for cash, the answer is Adams. He's projected for more fantasy points. Game theory-wise, I like Kelsey. But in 150s, I'm okay playing Kelsey and Robert Tonyan. I'm okay doubling it up that way. So yeah. But that's the question of the day is Kelsey or insert stud wide receiver here. And I know that Kelsey and Adams are the same price. Cousins, how would you play Mahomes and Clyde Edwards-Helaire together? Yes. Best advice is to quit and put your DK money in a savings account. I guess if you're in debt, I would say yes. Thanks, man. Graphic designer / custom looks is a huge deal. Would be cool to link up. Are you saying you're a graphic designer? Say, I'm not sure if you just got in. Which team do you think will be the lowest owned for stacks? I think Tampa Bay will be the lowest owned for stacks. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Singletary? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Steven donates $5 to the stream. I appreciate you, Steven. He says, would you stack the 3 Bills receivers? What's your thoughts on the highest stack? I think the Bills and Chiefs are 1A, 1B for stacks today. Those are the only stacks I want to have ownership towards. I don't want any other quarterback today except Mahomes or Allen. I know Mahomes has turf toe. He'll deal with it. I think you can stack all 3 Bills wide receivers today, but I like it more if you're playing Allen. Brown or Beasley today? I prefer Brown, but they're separated by like 5 percentage points. Nolan Alexander says, hi, how's it going? What do we got here? Do you only use optimizer or do you hand pick as well? So I use an optimizer for 150s, and then I'll usually try and hand build my lineups, but I'll reference like the optimizers. I'll kind of like look at what some of the top ceiling plays are, what the top overall projected plays are, that type of stuff. Do you use Fantasy Cruncher? If so, which one? I use Fantasy Cruncher, whichever one comes as an Awesemo contractor. What's your thoughts on the chance Williams outscoring Edwards today? Slim chances. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire for 3 times as many points. Do you not like DeMarcus Robinson? I prefer McCole Hardman and even Byron Pringle at their price points. Mahomes has turf toe, correct. Let's go, Sal. Going to be a good day, man. Go Pack, go. Hey, my man, let's do it. Sal, please talk to me about Brady. Why shouldn't I like him? I have 0%. Sal, your lock of the night did an awesome job on the your boy lock of the night did an awesome job on the breakdown. I look forward to breaking down going forward. He was the only person who had Rodriguez as a big dog to rebus. Yeah, I saw that. I saw he had like I think he had the exact knockout round at like plus 1900 or something like that. Pretty cool. What's good, Sal? What'd you think about McGregor getting KO'd? I just watched it and was just like, I thought, at like 10 o'clock, I was like, why am I staying up for these fights? Like, why do I give a shit? Tomorrow morning, I just watched the highlight right? So I thought I probably should have went to bed earlier. To be honest with you, I didn't really care. I would have liked to see McGregor win just for the sport itself and the hype of the sport. But today, I don't really care. Would you do an onslaught in a single entry too? Yes, I'd prefer it in a single entry. Do you like Brady, Rodgers, and Brady? I have 0% of both. I prefer Rodgers over Brady. Hey Sal, in a 20 max tournament with 20 plus K entries, okay to play? Yeah, if it's 20 max, it's fine. Again, if you can play the max amount of lineups in a contest, yeah, play the Millie Maker if you can play 150 lineups and you feel good about it. I'm not going to do that because I still think it's a lottery. But if you can max out the contest, it starts to become a better thing. So, it's not my favorite contest, so 20 max with 20K people in it, because you still have to beat 19,999 people, or I guess take out your lineup, so a little bit less. But yeah, like it's just odds at that point, right? Like you can try and get different and all that. You still have to beat those people's lineups, right? So when I say I only have to beat 200 people, yeah, that feels a lot better than having to beat 20,000. So it's okay. I won't say it's good. I won't say it's great. It's okay. Adams or Diggs or Hill? Diggs. Would you use Aaron Jones and Kelsey but not be able to fit 2 of the top 3 receivers? No. Sal, meatball or chicken parm? Some. Chicken parm. Yeah, graphic designer, full-time, car wrapping mostly. That's pretty cool. Sal, Packers defense with Fournette and John Brown or Tampa with Ronald Jones and Beasley? I don't care about the defenses in that question. I'll just go with Fournette and John Brown. Sal, who's your highest owned quarterback? Josh Allen. Best strategy for Super Draft today as far as lineup construction? Use randomness a little bit. Try and differentiate in the guys who have similar projections after the first couple. But that's about it. Yeah, you don't have to stack on Super Draft. Late to the stream, but good morning, Sal. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well as well, Mr. Mason. We've been live for about an hour, and we might as well just keep going. Why not? We got almost 1,100 people in here just watching for a 2-game slate. It's pretty good. Everything gear-wise seems to be working right now. So, yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep answering your questions. I know we're going to get even more people as we keep going. So, yeah, I think we've been live for about an hour. Damn, y'all crushed 200 likes. Let's get it. Can we get it to 250? With core stacks, do you fill in players scattered across teams or one team? I mean, it's game stacks. So if I'm playing Kansas City, I'm stacking many guys from Kansas City and running it back with many guys from Buffalo, and then I'll fill in 1 or 2 or maybe 3 guys from the other game. Ronald Jones incoming 20-plus points. I'm above the field on 150, so that sounds fine. Clyde Edwards-Helaire playing? Correct. Why not fade Kelsey at over 80% ownership? I don't think he's going to be 80% owned today. I don't know where you're getting that ownership projection number, but that is bad. Kelsey will be highly owned, but I think around 60%. And why not fade him over those guys? It's the same reason you don't fade him last week, the week before, right? On a 2-game slate, when one tight end is projected for 21 points and the next closest tight end is projected for 8 points in my projections, I mean, that's why 60% ownership is, if anything, too low on Travis Kelsey today. Travis Kelsey injury or Mahomes injury, and even then, Chad Henne to Travis Kelsey still feels fine. Not as fine, of course, at the price point. Then Travis Kelsey is $1,000 overpriced. But if Mahomes and Travis Kelsey are not leaving the game today. I know Mahomes has turf toe and maybe concussion fog, which is a real thing. But if they're both playing today and not leaving the game, I don't know how you don't like Travis Kelce. He has an insane matchup advantage over Matt Milano. He has an insane matchup advantage in the middle of the field where the Bills, if anything, have struggled all season long to defend any decent tight end, let alone the best in the NFL and potentially one of the best 3, if not the best, when it's all said and done in NFL history. Yeah, Travis Kelce's patent 15-yard gains are going to be happening at a pretty impressive clip today. That's why you don't fade him. I'm not going to fade Travis Kelce in a single entry. I don't think today. I'm not going to do it. It's hard to get away from that. It's hard to get away from a guy who projects out for almost 3 times as many points as any other tight end on this slate. It's fucking crazy, yo. The opportunity cost on that is just massive. Massive. Huge. Have a missed the Dollarooski's comment. What do you mean the Dollarooski's comment? Somebody super draft Dollarooski's comment? I don't see nothing. Or super chatted. I always say super drafted. Let's get all caught off on the comments. I'm going to scroll down. Sal, any Scotty Miller love as a one-off? Not really. I prefer Byron Pringle if Sammy Watkins is out. I think Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson kind of cut into each other too much today. I think that they don't really see too much volume each. I would go Miller over Johnson if choosing one of those two from Tampa, but I like if AB is out, I like Scotty Miller. Yeah, AB is out. With AB out, how heavy on Godwin? Probably around the field, around 40%. Kelce and Diggs are must starts. Sounds good. They look good. Who's your sleeper pick for today? So I assume by sleeper pick, you mean extremely low ownership. You're not going to find that at the quarterback. You're not going to find that at the running back position. You might find it at tight end, but probably not. Your sleeper pick's going to have to come from the wide receiver position. There's 2 guys who match this criteria today. MVS, because he's criminally underowned, especially compared to Allen Lazard on his own team. Allen Lazard should probably be like 8% owned to MVS is like 4 today, not 15 to MVS is 4. So MVS for GPPs is a sleeper with upside. And then I would say if Sammy Watkins is out, Byron Pringle. Byron Pringle will run 16 to 18 to 20 routes. Byron Pringle will and I'm assuming that McCole Hardman becomes very popular, right? The second Sammy Watkins is out, McCole Hardman becomes one of the highest owned receivers on the slate. And then you have really strong options in that 4K range with Hardman, John Brown, and Beasley. And you probably don't have to dip into the 3K range. But if you wanted to dip into the 3K range, the only guys who will actually be low owned today are probably Byron Pringle with upside and MVS. You can say that, but Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller are down to, I don't think they see as big of roles as definitely not MVS and definitely and probably not Byron Pringle. Kelce is always a lock. Okay, Jamal Williams a factor. I have 10% Jamal Williams, and I think he looks decent. If you had to only choose one, would you go Clyde or Fournette? Who's less likely to have a workload cut into? I would choose Clyde there. Patreon member here. Can you explain why you have so little Brady and elaborate on your rankings of the 4 quarterbacks? You have 0% Brady. So, if you're a Patreon member, and that is true, and that is real news, and you're not just saying that, the Closing Thoughts podcast went up this morning. It's 40 minutes that literally elaborates on every single move I'm making today in terms of game theory, in terms of ownership towards guys. So I would recommend listening to that. I talk about the quarterbacks for the first 15 to 20% of the podcast, maybe even more than that. So I would look into that. I don't want to give away all the goods on this live stream, but I'm just making an active decision. I don't know if it's the right decision. We'll find out later today. But I'm making an active decision to fade the stacks of Green Bay and Tampa today, meaning I have no Rodgers or no Brady. You don't have to do that. I think it's fine if you want to do something else, but I'd rather not come in around the field on every single quarterback and just actually leverage and try and take a shot on the game that looks a little bit more appealing. The turf, though, for Mahomes is a concern for playing out of the pocket, and he might only be stationary, and the downfield game could be a concern with that in terms of having time to throw if he doesn't have it against a good Buffalo pass rush. That's why I like Buffalo +3. I could care less if Mahomes wins this game. I think, though, that he'll have enough opportunities. And honestly, if you're playing Mahomes today in the Chiefs stack, you probably want them playing from behind. They're going to throw either fucking way, but you want them playing from behind. Sleeper could be Isaiah McKenzie, potentially. Do you have a sleeper in Superdraft today? I don't think I'm allowed to play Superdraft today because of the state that I'm currently located in. I don't have a VPN. I don't even know if those work. I assume that they probably do, but maybe not. A sleeper in Superdraft today, though. I have Superdraft projections, so what position? Right? If you're looking at the position for wide receiver, there's really no sleepers needed there. It's going to be the guys that you already know, the top 3 studs, the other Bills receivers. If Sammy Watkins is ruled out, then McCole Hardman can slowly start to become a sleeper at that point. But there's not that many. Superdraft, probably your best sleeper will come at the running back position. If anybody wants to play a Leonard Fournette or Clyde Edwards-Helaire there over an Aaron Jones who's going to be projected highly, that type of stuff. There's not that many sleepers. It's a clear-cut option at wide receiver or at quarterback, at tight end. I would say that getting different at the wide receiver position on Super Draft is the main key today. So instead of just playing the 3 studs at every single, like if you're just playing today one of the quarterbacks, it doesn't matter who. You're playing one of the quarterbacks, any of the running backs will all be decently owned, and then you're playing the 3 stud receivers in Kelsey. Yeah, you're not going to be winning anything on Super Draft. You're going to be splitting every single thing to the point where it's just massively split. So that's where you can start to get a little bit sneaky with like a McCole Hardman, a Mike Evans, those types of guys. I think Mike Evans might be one of the guys in Super Draft that stands out the most from a low ownership standpoint. Any love for Ronald Jones? Yes, I'm above the field. Sally Botts, the sleeper today is Mercedes Lewis, somebody says. What's up, my fellow Salvatore? Is Ronald's brother? Don't know what that is. Roland? Ronald's brother? Like Roland from Schitt's Creek? What's your Singletary ownership? It's around 40%. I'm below the field. I would like to have less, but just not the way it works out today. It's just not the way it works out today. Hey, Sal, I haven't heard you say Jamal Williams today. Yeah, I have about 10% Jamal Williams. I'm projecting. So I have Jamal Williams projected for 6.8 fantasy points. He's not the greatest of plays. I have him projected for 10% projected ownership, and I got 11% of him today. So he's just kind of somebody who fills in lineups once I apply randomness. Brady more clutch than a Gorilla Grip. Yeah, I mean, that don't matter for fantasy for me. Williams or Clyde? Clyde. Tom on the field, he looks cold out there. Uh-oh. Thoughts on Aaron Jones today? He could break the slate if he scores 2 to 3 touchdowns. Then he could be a great play. Yeah, I mean, you could say that analysis you can say for everybody, right? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Leonard Fournette, whoever scores 2 or 3 touchdowns today outside of quarterbacks is going to break the slate. So, yeah, I have Aaron Jones in. Let me pull up my exposures on my my telephone screenshots. I currently have Aaron Jones in exactly. He's my 3rd highest running back at 41%. I'm below the field on Aaron Jones, though, meaning that he's going to be coming in higher owned than that. Lazard or Beasley? Beasley. Running back in the flex to get different? No, I'd rather go wide receiver or tight end than just get different within my stacks and lineup construction. How much does game stacking matter in a head-to-head? Not as much. On a 2-game slate, you'll naturally do it, though, but nowhere near as much. Let's fucking go. He just answered my meeple or parm question. Yeah, my man, you must be watching a little bit slower on, so you're probably not going to hear this part for like 30 minutes. Leaving money on the table a must today? In larger field GPPs, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing in a contest with 300 people and you think you're different and only have $100 on the table, I think you can get away with that. I do. If you're playing 5 Chiefs today and 2 Bills, yeah, I think you can get away with that. But yeah, leaving money on the table if you're playing the Millie Maker is a must, without a doubt. Woke up this morning with pure excitement. My squad's first NFC Championship game in 18 years. Time to make some motherfucking dollar rooskies. Let's go, Sal. Thanks for the info. My man, Tyler Rowe, what's up? Shout out you. So I guess you're a Tampa Bay fan. I'm personally a Packers fan, so I hope that excitement turns into sorrow later today. Aren't you worried Edwards hasn't played since week 15? No. If he's out there and playing, I'm going to assume he's fully healthy. Thoughts on, unless we hear otherwise, thoughts on Edwards not playing since week 15. I'm projecting him to basically see like 75 to 85% of his normal role, so I'm already slightly projecting for that. Otherwise, I'd be projecting for like 17 or 18 fantasy points. So it's already built into my projections, and he still looks great. Do you have a preference on defense, or is it just a punt play? Whichever one fills out my lineup at the end of the day. If you fill out the rest of your lineup and you play defense and it leaves no money on the table, or you can play one and leave 500, just leave 500. Simple as that. Pringle hasn't been hitting, but he hitting today, Sal. I like Pringle. And look, here's the thing with Pringle. Last week was the only week that you can actually viably like rely on Pringle, right? And the week before that, he hit in week 17. But you know, there wasn't other guys playing like Tyreek Hill. But last week was the first week that you can like actively rely on him to get different. He's very cheap. And the other thing was he was slowly starting to run more routes, if you paid attention. And he ran those routes last week. The concern was Mahomes gets hurt at halftime. So yeah, Byron Pringle with Chad Henne throwing to him is awful. Byron Pringle with Mahomes throwing to him is good. That's actually quality at $3,200. But the upside in that guy with Chad Henne is just any other $3,200 receiver with the quarterback, right? It's not good. But Byron Pringle had 2 catches, like 14 yards, and 3 targets at halftime last week, and then Mahomes got hurt. If he replicates that in the second half, and he has a bad game with 4 catches for 20 yards, or 20, what would it be, like 26, 30 yards, and you're looking at 6 fantasy points at $3,200 in a bad game from Byron Pringle, I like Byron Pringle today. If indeed Sammy Watkins gets ruled out, I like him today because it's not even as much of what he does, it's of what he allows you to do. Like Byron Pringle, there's no doubt in my mind, can score 10 to 15 fantasy points today, right? It's just a touchdown. That's it. In an offense where he's going to run 15 or 20 routes. And not only does he allow you to do that, he allows you to get anything else in your lineup. 3 stud pass catchers, maybe even 4 if you're building in a sneaky way. So yeah. Somebody says, LOL, Sal, you're funny. Appreciate that. Sal, what game are you stacking the most? I'm only stacking the Bills in Kansas City. Hoping that excitement turns into your sorrow. It's snowing in Green Bay. Love it. Thoughts on Scotty Miller with Brown out? I prefer him over Tyler Johnson, but I don't really want much of either. More passing yards, Brady or Rodgers today? I'll go with Rodgers. Snow will be gone by game time. 100% from one game viable. I think you have to play players from 2 games, but I could be wrong. AJ Dillon from the Packers is a good play. Not for me. Beasley or Brown. Prefer Brown slightly, but like both. Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Rojo. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Thoughts on Gabriel Davis today? I don't have any interest. David, John Brown, because Beasley was only targeted once last week. No, that's not why you do it. Beasley was only targeted once because he was banged up and he was facing Marlon Humphrey. So whatever happened last week for Cole Beasley is no reflection of this week. He's a week healthier. He said he was feeling a lot more like himself, and he's not facing Marlon Humphrey today. He's going to be facing, I think, Snead is in the slot, like L'Jarius Snead. Thoughts on Cameron Brate? He's in play. I have 8%. Fournette or Savon Jones? So how do I explain this? I prefer Leonard Fournette today over Ronald Jones by a large amount. Ronald Jones sucks at pass catching. It's the cliche stuff, right? Leonard Fournette can catch 4 balls for 30 yards today and literally just beat Ronald Jones right there, not even factoring in what he does on the ground. If you're not unique in your lineup, if you don't trust yourself to make a viable stack that is very unique, if you don't know what that means, if you don't know how to do that, one way to get unique is to go from Leonard Fournette to Ronald Jones, because the ownership is going to be a third. Like Leonard Fournette might be 35%, 40% on today, and Ronald Jones is going to be like 15%. Sal is kind of a liar in his business video. He doesn't go over additional expenses. I went over every single one of my expenses. These people. Imagine being at home right now on a Sunday, worrying about another man's expenses. Could it be me? Beasley won't do much again. Just watch. Maybe. All right. We got so many bots in the chat. They got to go. Imagine making 3 accounts, all with the same IP address to comment. Thoughts on Gabriel Davis? No interest. How do you justify not making any Packers stacks with the second highest team total and Rodgers seeing lower ownership than Mahomes and Allen? Tom Brady. That's how. I'm choosing one game. The reason I justify it is because here's the thing. I have 0 interest. Are the Packers a good rushing defense? They're middle of the pack, basically. I just have zero interest in having my exposure all spread out today. Some people might want to match the field everywhere, right? And if you're going to be stacking this optimally, you're probably matching the field everywhere. I have no interest in doing that. All right. Do we have any mods in here that can just like mute all the bots that are coming in? I'm gonna make. There we go. Somebody says boot these effing trolls. I'm trying to learn from Sal, who's working his ass off. Yeah, just don't even hide them. Just get rid of them. Best play of the weekend, not counting money. Probably Stephon Diggs. Sal, favorite of the 3 wide receiver studs on DK, Stephon Diggs. If Bucks Packers is a shootout, do you go big on the showdown KC Buffalo game? If so, any showdown tips for KC Buffalo? Oh, I see what you're saying. If you think you're already dead money after the next game, no showdown tips. No, I'm not playing showdown today, so I have no tips there. Leave money on the table. Put guys who actually can score touchdowns, like high pass catching tight ends and wide receivers in your flex or in your captain spot, and that's about it. I would be prioritizing Tyreek Hill or Steph Diggs in my captain spot, and probably Steph Diggs. Sal, it's Laz gets fit. Thanks for this season. Really appreciate your content. Have lots of double tight ends today. Yeah, I like double tight end today, man. I it's the first time in a while I'm allowing it. Shout out to you, my man. Shout out to you. I run an online business as well. I think people are shocked at how low the overhead costs are. Yeah, there's none. If only there was a platform where you can host your videos for free and live stream for free, right? Like people pay that own a real business, like I say a real business, like a physical business, a brick and mortar. You might be paying $10,000 a month for your rent, depending on where you live, even if it's only like $3,000 or $4,000. That's just to have the ability, not even with any other permits or leases and stuff like that. That's just to have the ability to open your store. It costs $0 to open your YouTube account. So right there is the low expenses. Yeah, my business expenses per month, not counting like personal expenses, my business expenses per month they're indirect and direct, but if I had to like say on average, like $2,000. Mahomes concussion a factor? We will not know, so I'm not projecting for that. Any Singletary on DK? Yeah, definitely. Ron Jones or Singletary? I have more Singletary. I don't understand all the negativity. Go away, people. Yeah, I mean, it's just bots. If you're not familiar with how this works, there's one person who has a bot account. Like one person will come in with a bot account of like 10 bots and just type in like a phrase, and then all the bots will say it. They're not real people. Like you're yelling at. Like I don't know if you're familiar. I'm not going to get into what bots are. They're not real people. So you don't have to be worried about what the bots are saying in the chat. Like there's a 0% chance that they can actively respond to the comments that we're saying unless the person who's controlling the bots just changes the phrase. Knox or Pringle to save money in the flex. I'll go Pringle there. Knox at tight end with Kelsey and flex. I think that's fine. Singletary is minus 110 to have 10 rushing attempts, which is way more than he normally gets. That's interesting. MVS and Pringle in the same lineup? Not for me. Somebody says, fuck these brats. Jamal Williams, Brait, Knox. Pick one. Jamal Williams, Brait, and Knox. I'll go with Knox. Devonte can break the slate with 2 touchdown yard game. Yeah, of course he could. 2 touchdown, 100-yard game. Any interest in Tyler Johnson? Not really. Favorite play on Superdraft today? My favorite play on Superdraft today, it depends on the position. It depends on your position that you're talking about. Diggs at wide receiver, though. Would you play Pringle and Harmon in the same lineup? I think that's okay, yeah. Tonyan and Gronk on Superdraft today. I will be going on Superdraft with Robert Tonyan. What do we got in here? We got 1,100 people. Hit the like and subscribe before you go. Check out Superdraft. Check out Jock Market. Daily Fantasy Sports becomes a stock exchange. Free to download. Play in the cash markets. If you use the code SAL20, SAL20, you'll get a $20 credit in your account. So check it out. Appreciate that in advance. And it's a ton of fun. Jock Market's a ton of fun. You can buy and sell up until the lock today around the game time starts around 3, and then you can trade after that. But I highly recommend you get in during the IPO, the initial public offering, so you can actually make and have a better chance and an easier path to $. Any exposure to Yeldon? No. Diggs a must for me. Is Diggs a must for me? Yes. He would be my biggest must on the slate would be Diggs today, outside of the quarterbacks. Getting a lot of Clyde Slayer makes me nervous. I like it. What happened to Ronald Jones? A month ago, everyone is saying Fournette sucks, including you. Yeah, no, I've been liking Fournette all season long. I mean, I've had no stance on this. There's been a replace Stephen A. Smith on ESPN with my boy Sal Vetri. Appreciate that, man. I probably turned the job down, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I would say that all season long I've been neutral. I don't know why people are like so up in arms about Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. I don't give a shit about these people. I'll never meet them. It's been week by week, right? Some weeks, when you wanted to say Leonard Fournette sucks, you were saying that. One, if you could find the tape, I'll agree with you, but I don't think so. But when Leonard Fournette is a healthy scratch for undisclosed reasons, I mean, how can he suck? He's just not playing for reasons that were undisclosed. It could be because of his skill. It could be because COVID and they don't want to release that for HIPAA. It could be personal life matters, right? So, yeah. I think Leonard Fournette is a better running back this year, skill-wise, than Ronald Jones is. Because if we're talking complete running back, Ronald Jones is a 0 in the passing game. Leonard Fournette offers something there. So even if you think Ronald Jones is a better pure rusher than Leonard Fournette at this point, this year, not in the past, not next year, this year, which I would say probably closer to equals. But even if you think Ronald Jones is better, he's a 0 in the passing game. And that's just something you can't be this year. But for DFS purposes, it depends on the price. It depends on the touches. It depends on the specific week. Any Gabe Davis, not for me. Hit that like button. It's free. Appreciate that. Somebody says, if you're not a bot, hit the like button. I want to take it into the millionaire. Can you help me best direct my lineup? Yeah, if you watch this whole entire stream, it'll help you out. Who do you like better today, Sal? MVS or Hardman? Hardman. Can't wait to see the Packer game go over today and the KC game fails. People sleep on KC defense. That game will not be a shootout. Sounds good. All right, everybody. I'm going to peace. Peace out, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all in the next one. Sign up for Patreon. Patreon.com/Sal_Vetri_ to get any more $. Have a better chance at increasing your $, all that type of stuff. You all rock. I'll see you all in the next one. Best of luck today. Game started in like 3 hours. So yeah, any news I'll update. Any news if we get on Sammy Watkins, I'll be updating that after this stream. So you all rock. I'll see you all in the next one. And peace out, gang. Peace out, gang.